Hello, we meet again in the VNews Broadcast Daily and following are today's headlines.
President of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-nam begins official visit to Vietnam. Vietnam and the Republic of Korea announced the start of negotiations on a bilateral free trade agreement. International Esperanto Youth Congress opens in Hanoi.
President of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-nam, arrived in Vietnam on August 5th for the three-day official visit. A welcoming ceremony for the president was held at the Presidential Palace on August 6th.
This is the second visit by President Kim Jong-nam following his first official visit to Vietnam in July 2011. Earlier, he visited Vietnam in January 1998 as Cabinet Vice Premier and Foreign Minister. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea was one of the first countries that established diplomatic ties with Vietnam on January 31st, 1950. The two countries have maintained good relations through friendly visits by the two countries' party and state leaders. The visit aims to affirm the wish to promote traditional friendship and multi-faceted cooperation between the two nations. Following the welcoming ceremony, Kim Jong-nam held talks with President Trương Tấn Sang. Sang described the DPRK leader's visit as an important contribution to the consolidation and development of the traditional friendship and cooperation between the two countries. The two sides agreed to enhance cooperation in agriculture, culture, art, sports, education training, and people-to-people exchange. Regarding regional and international issues, the two leaders agreed to continue maintaining close coordination at regional and international forums. On the Korean Peninsula issue, President Sang affirmed that Vietnam consistently supports a nuclear-free Korean Peninsula of peace and stability. Vietnam wants concerned parties to make efforts to promote dialogue and take practical actions to boost the nuclear non-proliferation on the Korean Peninsula, he said. Vietnam also supports dialogue, reconciliation, cooperation, and peaceful reunification between the two Koreas, and does not back the use or threat to use force, he stressed. Regarding the East Sea issue, Kim Jong-nam expressed support for the settlement of disputes and emerging issues through peaceful dialogue in order to strengthen the friendship among countries and ensure regional peace and stability.
Vietnam and the Republic of Korea have announced the start of negotiations on the bilateral free trade agreement to boost economic cooperation and regional integration.
Vietnam's Minister of Industry and Trade Vũ Huy Hoàng and Minister for Trade of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade of the Republic of Korea, Park Tae-ho, made the announcement in Hanoi on August 6. The two ministers agreed to conduct negotiations in accordance with the World Trade Organization's regulations and add to previous commitments in the FTA between ASEAN and the Republic of Korea, taking into account each country's sensitive areas and the development gap between the two countries. The new agreement will cover trade in commodities and services, investment, economic cooperation, and other issues of mutual concern. Two-way trade rose from $500 million to nearly $18 billion last year, since the two sides established diplomatic ties in 1992, fulfilling the target set by the two countries' leaders. The liberalization of trade and investment through the agreement is expected to bring two-way trade to over $20 billion before 2015.
A meeting took place in Ho Chi Minh City on August 5th to commemorate the 51st year since Agent Orange dioxin began to be sprayed over Vietnam.
Attended by more than 500 Agent Orange victims in southern provinces, the meeting aimed to encourage people of all strata, domestic and foreign social organizations, to continue sharing losses and pains caused by Agent Orange for the Vietnamese nation. The event added to the general voice demanding that the U.S. side take responsibility for the consequences of the Agent Orange sprayed by U.S. troops during the invading war in Vietnam. On this occasion, the city's Association of Victims of Agent Orange Dioxin presented scholarships to 112 students with difficulties and Agent Orange victims. According to preliminary statistics, Ho Chi Minh City now has 20,000 people who were exposed to Agent Orange dioxin. The city plans to kick off construction of a center to provide care, treatment, vocational training, and rehabilitation for Agent Orange dioxin victims in Xuân Thới Thượng Commune, Hóc Môn District in the fourth quarter of this year.
The 68th International Esperanto Youth Congress opened in Hanoi on August 6th, attracting more than 120 delegates from countries across the world.
The year 2012 is very significant for Vietnam, as the country has now hosted the two biggest consecutive global Esperanto events. Earlier, the 97th World Esperanto Congress took place in Hanoi from July 29th to August 4th. This is seen as a great encouragement for developing the Esperanto movement in Vietnam. The Youth Congress helps to enhance friendship and cultural exchanges between young Vietnamese people and their peers worldwide. Hosting the Congress is a great honor for Vietnam, which is held annually in a different continent in rotation. No other country has had the chance to host the event after only 4 years like Vietnam. During the 7-day event, young people from across the globe will discuss various different topics such as the environment, literature, arts, music, and cinema.
The Domestic Market Department under the Ministry of Industry and Trade reported that despite the abundant supply of most essential goods, the purchasing power remained weak last month.
Total retail and service turnover in July reached only 189 trillion Vietnam dongs, up 0.1% against the previous month. However, it represented a 14.1% increase compared with the same period last year. The figure recorded during the January-July period stood at over 1,300 trillion Vietnam dongs, representing a year-on-year increase of 18.7%. However, if inflation is excluded, the rise was only 6.8%. In order to fulfill this year's target, experts suggested management agencies and businesses continue to implement measures to boost industrial production and increase exports. At the same time, more efforts are needed to reduce stockpiles and stimulate the domestic market while keeping tight control of import. Market management forces are requested to enhance inspection to prevent speculation, unreasonable price increase, and trade fraud.
Thousands of Japanese consumers flocked to a fair of Vietnamese products that took place in Kongshigaya City in the Japanese prefecture of Saitama from August 3rd to 5th.
The fair was jointly organized by Japan's Aeon Group, the Vietnamese Ministry of Industry and Trade, the Vietnamese Embassy in Japan, and Vietnam Airlines. It was part of activities to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the two countries' diplomatic ties in 2013. Two-way trade between Vietnam and Japan hit $21 billion last year, and this figure stood at $12 billion in the first half of this year. Japan is now the top investor in Vietnam with around 1,700 projects worth a total of $28 billion. Our journey aims to kick off the week of Vietnamese products and launch Aeon's supermarket chains, thus creating an export channel for Vietnamese products through the group. Vietnam's market share in Japan remains modest, accounting for only 1.7% of the market. It is necessary to look back our advertising methods and trade promotion activities to bring products that previously found it hard to penetrate the market, especially agricultural products. Within the framework of the event, visitors had a chance to enjoy special arts performances and Vietnam's popular dishes.
The central province of VIểt is targeting welcoming 4.5 million tourists by 2015, including 500,000 foreign arrivals, earning over 7.5 trillion Vietnam dong in revenues.
The target is outlined in the province's Plan of Action for Tourism Development by 2015. In July, the locality's tourism sector raked in approximately 2.5 trillion Vietnamese dong, a year-on-year increase of over 42%. VIểt is currently making every effort to retain a growth rate in its number of tourists at 12% annually. Tourism development is seen as an important task for every department and district in the province. The Provincial Department of Planning and Investment has collaborated with the relevant agencies to lure investment into the sector, with special attention being paid to ecological tourism.
And this is the end of the news today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.